Hi, I'm John Jarvis. I'm the coach of the Determination virtual team, and we are here at Second Soul, just outside of Columbus, Ohio, a specialty running store. And I figured as we get ready, as we start our training program here, a few things that people might have is some questions about is just the equipment that we might need. So I'm going to pull in Randy Benedict here, and we're going to ask him some questions and find out some information that might be helpful to y'all. Thank Randy Benedict here, the general manager of Second Soul, and got a few questions I'd like to ask if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, first of all, one of the questions I always get, and I'm sure you hear too, is who makes the best shoes? If I'm going to buy shoes, who makes the best?
We do get that question quite a bit, and the typical answer that we give is that each of the vendors that we have relationships with in a running specialty store here, they all make a shoe that does work for you, and they make a shoe that doesn't work for you. So rather than picking a company that, I mean, we can do market share reports and say who sells, but we like to stick to your foot is particular to you. And most of the companies up here are going to have a model that will do a good job for you, but the diligence needs to be put in to find the ones that will not work for you, get them out of the equation, and find the right product, whether it is ASICS, Nike, Adidas, any of the other competition.
Okay. Now I know when I look at Runner's World, they have their shoe report, and they have neutral shoes and cushion shoes and stability. What does that mean? What's the difference, and how do I know which one's for me?
Very good question. The dynamic and the biomechanical efficiency of the way your foot hits the ground is different than mine, and it's different than everybody watching this video. We all have a particular foot. A neutral foot is very efficient, and no matter what level of fatigue or distress it's under, it's going to stay very balanced. It's a good, efficient, mechanical foot that does not need a whole lot of help from either the interior or the exterior tooling of the shoe. A stability shoe, when you put it on your foot, a cushion stability shoe will never change the way that your foot moves, but what it will do when you start to fatigue and become less coordinated and broken down, a stability shoe will catch your foot when it wants to start having some kind of mechanical break, collapsing on the arch, rolling out, kind of looking like a duck, doing different inefficient movements. It catches the foot and stabilizes it. That's our most popular by far. Most people fit into that category. When you get tired, you break down. And then the smallest group is what we're going to call what you refer to motion control. And that's the shoe that right out of the gate automatically starts to change the way that your foot moves. So if you come in and say, I've had 2 or 3 knee surgeries, I have custom orthotics from my foot doctor, I need a lot of mechanical help before I even start to get tired, that would be the motion control category.
So those are the people that, just when you watch them walking around, they're rolled up, rolled all the way.
Whether they're fatigued or not, there's already something going on.
You can tell just looking at them that their foot's not landing flat.
Unfortunately, that's not most of us, and that's a smaller minority group, but it's easy to pick out, and it doesn't make you a bad athlete. It's just something that you have to consider for and identify, because if you end up all the way over in a neutral shoe, but you have motion control needs, you're going to have a bad experience with your product because it's not going to do what you need it to do.
Okay, so that one's pretty obvious then if you need that extra.
Right.
But then how do I know which one's for me if I'm not really rolling in? How can I tell, what do you do, or how can I tell?
Right, that's why you come and see us.
Okay.
We'll take a look. You bring your old equipment in, we take a look at how you're wearing it, we have a conversation with you, find out your injury history, find out what you're getting ready for, find out what has worked or has not worked for you in the past. And by communicating this back and forth, you trust us to bring out product that is in the category where you belong, and then to know that we're going to stand behind it if you go out and get a couple miles in and have a bad experience, that your local running specialty shop is going to do more to your tailored needs. But it's an evolving conversation, and it changes over time. You don't have the same foot that you had 5 years ago. Neither do I. So you've got to pay attention to that, and as times change with it.
Okay. Which leads me with, you're a specialty running store, but I know that, you can go to the big box stores and also buy running shoes. What are some of why should I come here? What are some of the differences? The
reason to come here is not only the level of pride that we put into it, but the education and expertise. The staff is all runners, running background, running only product. We don't have a football section. We don't have a field hockey department in the store or soccer or anything. It's running concentrated, and the staff is constantly going to clinics, having sales reps in here. As I said, the continuing education and the pride that we take in only concentrating on running and being able to communicate with you in a specialized, focused group that will pretty much answer any question that you're going to be able to come up with.
Okay. One of the things that has always impressed me coming in, you said, the background you all have in running. You're not dealing with, a 17-year-old kid that's working a summer job selling the shoes. Or if it is a 17-year-old, they've got more experienced people around them, and they're kind of teaching them the ways to go about this business. What is your background in run? Just to kind of give people an idea of, who works at a running store, what kind of background do you have, and people you have working for you?
My personal background ran all the way through high school, running paid for college, competed in Europe after college, came back from Europe and had already been part of this group and trained and did my diligence at another store until I came and opened up my own store. On staff, 3-4 managers, collegiate graduates, all collegiate athletes, current Ohio State and other local university runners, members of the team, coaches, and then some of the people in a different position in life, early 40s, late 40s, that participate in 3 to 5 5Ks a month, plugged in to the community, to the industry, and just love to not only run and or walk themselves, but also stay involved externally with all of their peers, and that, once again, continuing education, because this industry constantly changes, and if you neglect it, you're going to be left behind. And that's more of what a department store is. They're going to have entry-level product, entry-level education, and entry-level service, just to call it what it is. So we believe that sets us apart.
Okay, and that's certainly something where, beyond shoes, you all, with the background you have, you're probably not going to run into somebody in a unique situation. You've been there in their shoes, literally in their shoes,
yep.
And kind of have advice and insight to give all the people
right.
who can come
in.
in.
And the thing that, for over 12 years of being open here, the line that I've used so many times over and over again is that the best thing about our sport is also the worst thing about our sport, and it's that it's yours. It's completely yours. And so when things go well and you have accomplishments and successes, it's because of the hard work, effort, and accountability that you put into it. Sometimes when things don't go so well, did you neglect a little nag that turned into an injury? Did you not get the right sleep? Did you not eat the right food? It kind of comes back to you, whether it goes good or bad.
Okay. So here's a question I have to ask. Big book has been out this year. What about the barefoot running? You hear a lot on Good Morning America and things
every day
about this barefoot movement.
Right. It's a concept, and it's not a concept that we 100% subscribe to. It's also not something that we neglect or disregard. The fact of the matter is application. There's lots and lots of excellent ideas out there, but how are they applied and how are they implemented? With the minimalism movement, there is a ton of logic to counting on the bones, muscles, and tendons in your foot to be more accountable and more balanced and more durable so that you yourself are properly moving. That being said, how many of us have spent the last 10, 15, 20 years in shoes and footwear that is not minimalist? So your foot counts on, evolves, and becomes dependent upon a lot of that. So you can't just decide on Tuesday night that you're buying this minimalism shoe and go hammer a workout on Wednesday and expect good results, because your foot's not ready for it. If you want to tone it down and slowly work into getting used to this product, there is some reason and somewhere to go with all of that, but it's a very patient, very slow, very delicate process, because as the barefoot thing grew, so did the injuries that were reported back to us. So we do sell it. We try to explain it very well to the customer, but just because you read an article doesn't mean your body is ready to do it the next day. You got to be patient.
I know with the high school students that I coach, we do some barefoot running. We'll go out and do strides barefoot on the football field, because I agree that I think the strength you can gain from that is a lot that can come from it. But I also, like you said, I don't want them putting on these shoes that are next to nothing and pounding 5 or 6 miles on the road, just right off the bat, or honestly ever.
Right.
I think, like you said, I think there's a place for it, but
it's dangerous.
Seem to agree, right? That it's a mode of training, maybe not the only method of training.
That's right.
Good. Looking around the store, that you've also got a lot of clothing and things like that. A runner might ask, do I really need a dry fit shirt or something like that? What is the idea behind all the microfibers, and why can't I just wear the gym teacher that I had from 20 years ago.
Yeah,
right.
So the technical performance pieces, the whole point and objective is moisture management. You know, if you stay dry, you feel cooler, you perform better, and at a comfort level too, where the cotton just kind of sticks to you and absorbs and will not only restrict movement but also weigh you down. So thin fiber on the inside against the skin, thick fiber on the outside to management, disperse it, and have it evaporate so that you stay more comfortable, more ready to perform. And you know, does it cost maybe double, even triple what the same piece would be in cotton? Sometimes yes, but you're going to go through 5 or 6 cotton shirts uncomfortable in the amount of time and usage that this performance apparel. Once somebody tries it out, there's usually no going back. I mean, it's pretty.
That's been the case with me.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Once you wear it, you're like, yeah.
Yeah. We don't really need to sell it. We just kind of explain it, go try it. If you're not happy, bring it back, and stuff doesn't come back in that category.
Okay. And one final thing, you see gadgets and things like that. What else is out there that a runner might consider getting that might help, keep them healthy or just increase their enjoyment of the sport?
Well, with the advice and the kind of overview of a coach and the help and education that you're going to be able to provide from an equipment standpoint, shoes would be priority number 1, 2, and 3. Shoes by far the most important. But if I had to go next, I would move into the discussion about a watch. I think it's very critical to know how long you've been out there to get some familiarity and consistency to the loops that you run, the times that you do it, the objectives that you have, that not every day needs to be a world record, and there's going to be different points and reasons to the different workouts that you do. Socks are huge, the layer in between the actual skin of your foot and the performance footwear that you're buying. So those 2 things I would move into next, and then you can get into more of the running shorts and the shirts and different options there.
Great. All right. One final thing, I've had a couple people ask me, what do I do? It seems like I'm getting winded early. How do I manage my pace? And my advice, and I just want to see if you agree, is, especially early in the training program, it's all about just getting your run done. Don't worry about the pace. If you're finding yourself winded, slow down, back off. Completing the run, getting through it, increasing the mileage as we go, that's the important thing. And as you do that, I think, am I right that you find that the speed will come with that?
Absolutely, and from a coaching perspective, I feel a lot better and had a lot more success. I'm totally fine with the athlete coming to me after the event or the competition and saying, I was charging at the finish line and I feel like I could have run a little bit faster and darn it, I left a little bit on the table. I'm fine with that because that means they had a good experience, they didn't get hurt, and they're hungry for more. And I don't really get a guilty conscience about holding them back a little bit and putting them through a good event, as opposed to somebody that wants to set the world on fire the first half of the race and sets themselves up for some failure and either a lot of walking or a potential injury or a suffering experience into the finish line that they don't walk away feeling good about it afterwards.
Okay, I'm going to go back on my one last thing. How often, do shoes get too old? When do you need new shoes?
We look at the 400-mile mark.
Okay.
For the performance and the reason why you bought this shoe, particular for you, neutral, stability, control, whatever category we put you in. Once you get more than 450 miles on that specific equipment, it is now not the shoe that you purchased. So it's performing different because of the build and the wear down that you've put on it. So at that point in time, you will notice a significant difference if you go back in and buy that same shoe, but brand new. You'll be able to tell that it fits differently than before.
Thank you very much.
Not a problem at all.
Appreciate you taking time for us.
Good luck to your group.
And group, I'm looking forward to seeing you in Seattle.
Good luck
with the training. Thanks.